You push the trolley down the aisle, grab a pack of premium chicken breasts, and trust the label. But that trust is being weaponized against your health. What looks like fresh poultry is often a chemically engineered sponge, pumped full of water, industrial salts, and binding agents. You believe you are paying for protein. In reality, you are paying premium prices for tap water and fillers. The industry calls it tumbling or plumping. To the consumer, it is theft. To your body, it is a toxic overload of hidden sodium and processing aids. From the budget shelves of the discounters to the supposed quality of the high-end grocers, the deception is systemic. This report exposes 7 UK chains to avoid. Do not skip a second, because number 1 is the most shocking of all. It is a brand found in millions of British kitchens right now, and lab tests suggest what is inside that packet is barely recognisable as meat. The cover-up ends today. Fecal pathogens smeared onto the meat after it left the oven. That is the invisible filth consumers ingest from ready-to-eat packets. You walk into Sainsbury's. You bypass the budget aisle. You pick up a Taste the Difference sandwich or a packet of cooked chicken slices, believing that the orange and purple branding is a guarantee of safety. You are wrong. This is the ultimate betrayal, because the poison was not in the raw meat you cook yourself. It was in the lunch you eat straight from the packet. In May 2022, Sainsbury's became the epicenter of a catastrophic biological collapse. The contaminant was salmonella, and the source was a systemic breakdown at a massive supplier in Hull, Cranswick Country Foods. This recall exposed the terrifying fragility of the UK's premium food supply. It did not matter if you bought the cheapest wrap or the most expensive luxury fillet. The filth was identical. Understand the gross factor here. In a factory, there are low-care areas for raw meat and high-care areas for cooked products. This outbreak proved that the high-care firewall had been breached. The salmonella contamination occurred after the cooking process. This means the safety barrier you rely on, heat, was already gone. You were eating fecal pathogens that had bypassed the oven, likely introduced by cross-contamination or dirty equipment in the packaging zone. When you took a bite of that sandwich, you were ingesting a live culture of bacteria capable of causing fever, severe abdominal cramps, and debilitating diarrhea. Sainsbury's charges you a significant premium for their reputation. They sell you the idea of taste the difference. But the only difference is the price. Historical data paints an even darker picture. Prior investigations have ranked Sainsbury's as a high-level offender for Campylobacter, a superbug found on fresh poultry. The May 2022 recall proved that their supply chain is just as vulnerable to industrial incompetence as the budget brands they claim to be superior to. They flooded the high street with toxic lunches, proving that in the world of industrial food processing, premium is just a sticker. It offers no protection against bacteria breeding on the factory floor. If you are trusting this brand with your health, you are playing a dangerous game. Number 6. Spar. The label says, enjoy local. The lab report says, biological hazard. You trust your local Spar. It feels safer than the sprawling industrial aisles of a hypermarket. It feels like the heart of the community. But that branding is a calculated lie designed to lower your defenses. In May 2025, the Food Standards Agency issued an urgent do not eat warning for Spar's Enjoy Local Cooked Chicken range. They were not worried about a bit of gristle. They found Listeria monocytogenes. This is not your standard stomach bug. This is a killer. Unlike Salmonella, which keeps you in the bathroom for a weekend, Listeria is invasive. It survives and multiplies inside your fridge. Once ingested, it can cross the blood-brain barrier. Do you understand what that means? It means meningitis. It means inflammation of the brain lining. For the elderly or the pregnant women Spar claims to serve, the mortality rate can be 20 to 30%. This is not food poisoning. It is Russian roulette played with batch code 5128. Consumers bought these slices for sandwiches, believing they were safe, ready to eat protein. Instead, they took home a pathogen capable of causing sepsis and miscarriage. If you have any Enjoy local chicken in your fridge, do not open it. Do not feed it to your pets. Be in it immediately. The local promise is a myth. The danger is real. Listeria can cause meningitis, inflammation of the brain lining, and sepsis. For pregnant women, it can cause miscarriage or stillbirth, all from a packet of cooked chicken slices. The hybrid threat, dilution data. While the recall was for bacteria, the Enjoy local chicken is also an archetype 3 deception offender. A look at Spar's wider chicken range reveals that many cooked chicken products are chemically bulked. For example, standard SAR cooked chicken breast slices often contain only 80% chicken, with the remaining 20% water, potato starch, stabilizers, euhuma seaweed, and triphosphates E451 used to hold the water in. You are not just buying contaminated chicken, you are buying diluted contaminated chicken. Irish authorities did not just recall a single batch. In June 2023, the Food Safety Authority of Ireland took the nuclear option. They ordered the immediate seizure and recall of all frozen food of animal origin imported into Iceland's stores over a 3-month period. That is not a precaution. That is a total condemnation of a supply chain. The official reason given was inadequate evidence of traceability. Translate that from bureaucratic language into plain English. Iceland did not know where the meat came from. In the world of food safety, undocumented meat is treated as a potential bioweapon. If they cannot prove which farm slaughtered the bird, they cannot prove it is not riddled with disease. You are buying mystery meat from a supply chain black hole. But when we do know where the chicken comes from, the reality is even more terrifying. A joint investigation by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism and The Guardian linked Iceland's supply chain to a Polish poultry giant, connected to a massive multi-drug-resistant salmonella outbreak. This is not just about dirty sheds. It is about chemical negligence. The investigation found the supply chain utilized fluoroquinolones. These are critical, last-resort antibiotics used to treat serious human infections. By pumping these drugs into cheap chicken to keep them alive in squalid conditions, the industry risks creating superbugs that human medicine cannot kill. When you buy those frozen nuggets, you are not just feeding your family, you are helping to dismantle the effectiveness of modern medicine. Co-op. The label says ethical. The shed tells a horror story. You shop at the Co-op because you believe in the brand's self-proclaimed values, community, fairness, and welfare. You pay an ethical premium at the till, convinced that this extra cost creates a firewall against cruelty. But that blue logo is a mask for one of the most grotesque practices in modern farming. You are not buying a bird raised with care, you are buying a genetic mutant known in the industry called Franken chicken. Forensic analysis of the Co-op supply chain reveals a heavy reliance on the Ross 308 breed. This is not nature, this is genetic engineering gone wrong. These birds are designed to explode from a tiny hatchling to slaughter weight in just 35 days. That is a growth rate so unnaturally aggressive that it is biologically impossible for the animal's skeleton to keep pace with its muscle mass. The result is physiological collapse. Reports from animal welfare groups like the Humane League and Open Cages describe birds with brittle, undeveloped legs that snap under the weight of their own chemically pumped chests. These birds cannot walk. They cannot stand to reach food or water. They simply collapse. Co-op profits from the image of being the ethical choice on the high street, using the red tractor seal to pacify your conscience. But campaigners argue that red tractor standards are barely above the legal minimum. You are being sold a lie. The supply chain is virtually indistinguishable from the industrial cruelty of the budget retailers you actively avoid. You are not paying for welfare. You are funding a system where hearts fail and legs shatter before the slaughterhouse even opens its doors. If you believe the Co-op is different, you are the victim of the great deception. Put the packet back. Asda. The label says chicken. The contents are a lethal lottery. You reach for the Asda rollback price thinking you have snagged a bargain. That yellow sticker does not represent a saving. It represents the cost of cut corners in a factory environment where speed matters more than your survival. Asda is not just selling food, they are playing Russian roulette with the allergy status of the entire nation. In October 2024, Asda committed an unforgivable regulatory breach. They issued a panic-stricken recall for their chicken dinners. The reason was catastrophic packaging incompetence. The trays did not contain chicken, they contained beef. To the average consumer, this sounds like a farce. To an allergy sufferer, it is a potential death sentence. By swapping the meats, Asda flooded the product with undeclared milk, egg, and barley. Imagine this. You buy a chicken dinner for a family member with a severe egg or gluten allergy. You check the label, it looks safe. Minutes later, their airways are closing. Anaphylaxis sets in. This is not a mix-up. It is industrial negligence. This was not an isolated incident. It is a symptom of a supply chain in chaos. Just 1 year earlier, in September 2023, Asda was forced to recall classic boneless chicken dinner joints. The reason was undeclared wheat, twice. In 2 years, this chain failed the most basic test of food manufacturing, putting the right product in the right box. Their factories are operating with such reckless speed that they cannot guarantee what is actually inside the package. But if the hidden allergens do not hospitalize you, the bacteria might. Asda carries a distinct legacy of filth. Historical surveys by the Food Standards Agency have previously ranked Asda as a top offender for Campylobacter contamination, the bacteria responsible for the majority of food poisoning cases in the United Kingdom. While other chains tightened their hygiene protocols, Asda's record suggests a persistent struggle with basic sanitation. The betrayal here is systemic. Asda prioritizes the appearance of value over the reality of safety. When you buy their processed chicken, you are betting your health that the factory line was not having a bad day. That is a gamble no consumer should have to take. If you have these chicken dinners in your freezer, check the batch code. Better yet, throw them away. White lines cutting through raw pink flesh. That is not marbling, that is a roadmap of disease. When you browse the meat aisle at Lidl, you are looking for a bargain. What you are actually finding is a pathological symptom known as white striping. You have likely seen it before and ignored it, assuming it was just a bit of extra fat. It is not. It is evidence of a muscle myopathy found in up to 98% of chicken breasts tested in specific investigations. Here is the forensic reality. These birds are genetically engineered to grow so violently fast that their blood supply cannot keep up with their muscle growth. The muscle fibers literally starve, die, and are replaced by fibrous fat and connective tissue. This is necrotic tissue. You are not eating lean, healthy protein. You are metabolizing the byproduct of a dying animal. This disease degrades the protein quality and hikes the fat content of the meat by over 200%. Lidl sells this defective meat as a standard product, normalizing a condition that shows the animal was physically disintegrating before it was even slaughtered. But the visible rot is nothing compared to the invisible threat. A 2024 investigation into Lidl's supply chains uncovered a biological time bomb, multi-drug resistant bacteria. The sheds supplying this chain are breeding grounds for E. coli strains, resistant to fluoroquinolones. These are not standard antibiotics. They are the heavy artillery human doctors rely on to treat life-threatening infections. By abusing these drugs to keep their sickly Franken chickens alive in squalid conditions, the supply chain is cultivating superbugs that modern medicine struggles to kill. When you bring this meat into your kitchen, you are not just preparing dinner. You are potentially contaminating your chopping board with bacteria that can bypass your body's defenses. Lidl markets itself on value. But there is no value in buying symptomatic meat. They are offloading the industry's mistakes onto your plate. If you see those white stripes, do not buy it. It is not a deal. It is a biological hazard. If you pay a premium for Oakham Gold standards, why are you being served fecal bacteria? You shop at Marks and Spencer because you believe in the safety tax. You willingly pay double the price of the discounters because you believe M&S offers a firewall against industrial filth. This is not just food, the adverts tell you. This is M&S food. But that slogan is now a warning label. The firewall has collapsed and the filth is on your plate. In January 2025, the facade of middle-class safety was shattered. Regulators forced an urgent "do not eat" warning on M&S crispy southern fried chicken burgers and chicken Kievs. The contaminant was salmonella. This is not a preservation error. Salmonella is a gut pathogen found in animal feces. It causes severe gastrointestinal distress, fever, and dehydration. When you bought those quick family meals in January, you were not buying convenience. You were bringing a biological hazard into your kitchen, disguised in premium packaging. The betrayal here is absolute. You do not expect a biohazard from the most trusted brand on the high street, but the rot goes deeper than a single recall. M&S markets its Oakham chicken as the pinnacle of animal welfare. They sell you an image of happy birds and pastoral care. The reality is a factory nightmare. An undercover investigation by PETA into M&S supplier farms exposed the grotesque truth behind the Oakham label. The footage did not show happy chickens. It showed birds selectively bred to grow so unnaturally fast that their legs collapsed under their own weight. Worse, investigators found live birds packed tightly alongside rotting corpses. Dead chickens left to decompose in the same shed where your dinner was walking. This is the high welfare you are paying for. When you hand over your money at the till, you are not funding better standards. You are funding a marketing budget designed to hide the corpses. The January recall proves that M&S is just as vulnerable to industrial contamination as the budget brands you avoid. The only difference is the price tag. If you have these batch codes in your freezer, bin them. The Oakham promise is a lie written in marketing ink and bacterial cultures. The evidence is undeniable. You have been paying premium prices for tap water, industrial fillers, and disease. Did you know about white striping or the hidden allergens before today? Will you ever trust these brands with your family's health again? Leave your verdict in the comments. The industry relies on your silence, so make some noise. To uncover the toxins hiding in your bread, milk, and tea, subscribe for the truth. The investigation continues.